I never expected a Tuesday morning to change my life. Mrs. Thompson, the elderly woman who ran the tiny corner store in our neighborhood, was humming softly as she arranged jars on the shelf. Her hands trembled slightly, but her smile never faltered. That day, a young biker came in, dusty and exhausted from the road. He looked down at his empty wallet, and then at the food on the counter. Mrs. Thompson didn't hesitate. She handed him a sandwich and a bottle of water, then quietly added, "Take care of yourself, son." I watched from the doorway, my heart tugged in a way I hadn't felt in years. The biker's eyes widened. You don't even know me," he stammered. She shrugged, her soft gray hair catching the morning sun. "Doesn't matter. You need it more than I do." Then she smiled and went back to her work. That $10 she had left for groceries that week was gone, given entirely to a stranger. I couldn't stop staring at her. How could someone with so little give so much? That night, I walked home replaying the scene in my head. Her selflessness was almost painful to witness. In a world where people were always taking, hoarding, and competing, she had given her last dime without a second thought. I realized I had forgotten what it meant to care without expecting anything in return. The next day, I decided to check on her shop, hoping to see her, maybe even help. When I arrived, I noticed something unusual. Motorcycles lined up along the street, their engines humming softly, 50 strong. Confused, I stepped closer and saw the biker from yesterday standing at the front, speaking into a small megaphone. "Mrs. Thompson," he began, voice trembling, "you didn't just give me a sandwich. You reminded me that kindness exists in the world. I told my friends, and we all wanted to give back." I watched as riders began handing her envelopes, gifts, and cards. Some handed flowers, others groceries, even gift cards. She stood frozen, her mouth opening and closing, eyes wide. I realized at that moment that the ripple of kindness she had started was larger than anyone could have imagined. Tears filled her eyes as she looked at the biker and then at all 50 riders. I don't know what to say," she whispered. "This is too much." The biker shook his head. "No, it's just enough. Enough to remind us all that small acts matter. You've shown us how to be human again." I stepped closer, feeling a lump in my throat. Watching her, I noticed how years of hardship and sacrifice had shaped her into a gentle, unwavering soul. She didn't need wealth or recognition. She had something far greater. Compassion that couldn't be measured by money. One by one, the riders spoke to her. Each shared how her simple act inspired them to be better, to notice the struggles of strangers, to give when they could. By the end of it, the little store seemed to glow, not because of lights or decorations, but because of humanity converging in one moment. Mrs. Thompson laughed softly, a mixture of disbelief and joy. "I didn't do it for this," she said, clutching a card from one of the bikers. "I just wanted him to have a meal. I never imagined." Her voice trailed off, and she shook her head, smiling through tears. I felt a wave of warmth wash over me. I realized that her act wasn't just about the food or the $10. It was about showing that even small gestures can inspire monumental change. Her courage to be kind, even when it hurt her personally, was a lesson for all of us. I spent the day helping her unpack the gifts and sort through the letters. Every envelope carried messages of hope, gratitude, and admiration. She read each one aloud, her voice trembling but proud. I noticed a subtle change in her posture, a lightness in her step that hadn't been there before. That evening, as the riders rode off into the sunset, I stayed behind with Mrs. Thompson. We shared a quiet moment, sipping tea and watching the street settle back into its usual calm. "You see," she said softly, "it's never about what you get. It's about what you give." I nodded, knowing I'd never forget that day. I realized that acts of kindness, no matter how small, could echo further than anyone expects. That little sandwich, that last $10, had created waves stronger than a storm. Before I left, she handed me a small envelope. "For you," she said. Inside was a note. "Remember to notice the good in the world, then be part of it." I held it close, feeling a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in years. Driving home, I thought about the ripple effect of generosity. How one simple act, done with a pure heart, could transform lives, rebuild faith, and even inspire an entire community. That day, I promised myself to act with kindness, even when it seemed inconvenient or small. And in the quiet of my room, I realized the most profound lesson. True wealth isn't measured in money, but in the courage to be kind, in the strength to give when you have little, and in the ability to touch lives without expecting anything in return. Mrs. Thompson had reminded me in the world that humanity still thrives in the simplest gestures.